Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Saturday, December 23rd, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 Bank Shop best bet, as well as my all-access season pass in college hoops, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Now, quick announcement, when we look at the college basketball cards in the next few days, very small card on Christmas Eve. It's just the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic games. I'm not going to do a Bank Shop breakdown video for those games. I'm going to have some premium plays, of course, in college basketball for those. But after that, Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, Monday and Tuesday, there's no college basketball games at all. And then Wednesday, there's only 2 games. So this is going to be the last Bank Shop breakdown until Wednesday night for Thursday's game. So no breakdown for Sunday or Wednesday in college basketball. There's only a couple games, but of course those will be covered on our YouTube channel with the daily pick videos that Mitch and Chris do, and free pick articles, premium picks, you name it. Monday, Tuesday, of course, no college basketball for the holidays. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy holidays as well. And so next Bank Shop breakdown is going to be on Wednesday night for Thursday's games. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Saturday in college basketball. First up, we see LIU taking on Mount St. Mary's. This one's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Now, Mount St. Mary's doesn't get too many opportunities to pull off blowout victories at home, but this is a good spot for the Mountaineers, in my opinion. Mount St. Mary's has played a pretty tough schedule. We've seen them play at Maryland, at Georgetown. They played a road game against American. Ole Miss, they played on the road. We know Ole Miss off to a great start to the season. They played at Georgia. And while they haven't fared well in some of those games, I do think that they've been pretty competitive this season. A 4-7 record, not too bad. All 4 of their wins against Division I opponents. LIU, I do believe, is one of the weaker teams in Division I college basketball this year. Only 1 win this season. That was against a solid Corpus Christi team at the neutral site. But other than that, LIU has not been very competitive, especially offensively. Not a very good shooting team, and in general, 353rd in adjusted offensive efficiency. Now, the problem I have with LIU in this game is, defensively, they're actually really strong against the three-point shot. They're 20th in three-point defense this season, and teams are only scoring 18.4% of their points from the three-point line against LIU. However, Mount St. Mary's, while last year they relied on the three-point shot, this season that hasn't been the case. This is not a very good three-point shooting team for Mount St. Mary's. They do score the ball really well, though, in two-point range, where they're 90th in the country in two-point field goal percentage. They get 60.5% of their points from two-point field goals, which is the 12th most in college basketball. That's a bad thing for LIU. They give up a lot of points from two-point range, a 309th in two-point defense. So Mount St. Mary's should not be uncomfortable offensively in this game. Mount St. Mary's, I think, is the much better defensive team in this game. They force a lot of turnovers. They're a decent rebounding team as well. LIU 355th in offensive rebounding. Mount St. Mary's 56th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage. To me, this is a mismatch, and Mount St. Mary's just matches up really well in general. Playing at home, I'll lay the points here with Mount St. Mary's. Next up, we see Rider in Pennsylvania. This one, 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. Rider is really battle-tested this season. They played the 23rd toughest non-conference schedule in college basketball. A lot of true road games and some true road games against top 100 teams in KenPom. Teams like Marquette, Nebraska, Duquesne, Maryland. And, while they've lost a majority of those games and haven't been competitive in some, we've seen in the last couple of games, Riders won 2 of its last 3, and that includes a true road victory against Delaware. Solid top 150 team in KenPom. That was an overtime game, 88-85. I think Riders really improved as the season's gone along. And, the one thing that UPenn has done really well is rebound the basketball. They're top 100 in defensive and offensive rebounding percentage. But Riders also a really good rebounding team, so they kind of negate the advantages that UPenn usually has against its opponents. I think Rider's going to be a much better shooting team as the season continues. They're creating pretty good looks offensively. They're ranked 351st and 353rd in effective field goal percentage and three-point percentage, respectively. I think it's going to get better as the season goes along. The defense, while it's not great, they don't force a lot of turnovers. Like I said, they're responsible on the defensive glass, so UPenn shouldn't have too many second-chance looks. And they're a pretty good three-point defense. I like Rider in this game at home. They're playing their best ball of the season. Pennsylvania, they've had some nice performances. We saw them upset Villanova earlier in the year, but I don't like them in this spot on the road. I think Rider grabs the W. Give me Rider, the Bronx, on the money line. Next up, we see Vanderbilt and Memphis. This one, 4 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Now, we took Memphis in their last game against Virginia. That was a blowout win for us, 77-54, the final score. Memphis, you could argue, playing its best ball of the season. I mean, they got four wins in a row, and all four of those victories against top 100 teams. Two of those wins against teams on the road, VCU and Texas A&M. So Memphis playing great basketball, but while I still like them, as the season continues, I think they're a bit overvalued in this spot because of that big win against Virginia and this win streak matched with the fact that, Vanderbilt's on a losing streak. It's lost 6 of its last 7 and is having a disappointing season. We see Memphis now as a gigantic favorite. And while I think they're the much better team and should win this game, I don't think they cover this large number. I think they're overvalued right now. And I think Vanderbilt is underrated right now as well. Like I said, it's been a really disappointing season for Vanderbilt. Fundamentally, they can compete with Memphis. They're taking care of the basketball. They're a pretty good rebounding team. They don't take too many fouls, and they get to the free throw line themselves. Really, it's just been the shooting numbers, both offensively and defensively. Teams are shooting really well against Vanderbilt's defense, and Vanderbilt itself not shooting the ball well, but they are creating pretty good looks offensively, and the defense is forcing a lot of tough shots. Vanderbilt being 359th in three-point defense, I don't think is going to last the rest of the season. This Vanderbilt defense is a lot better than those current numbers, and going forward, there's going to be value with the Commodores, especially as we get into conference play, as we're going to see Vanderbilt is, quite a sizable underdog in a lot of those games against some of the better teams in the SEC. But I think that this is one of those spots where it's just way too many points to be laying. Vanderbilt slows the game down. They're 293rd in average possession length offensively. So they're going to look to limit the amount of possessions in this game. They know they cannot afford to get into a shootout with Memphis in this ball game. I think we see a lower scoring game and a game that probably goes under the total, and Vanderbilt covers the number. I think points are at a premium. This is just way too many points to be laying. Give me Vanderbilt plus the points. Next up, we see Villanova and DePaul. This one's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And I think some people would worry a bit about a letdown spot for Villanova after their overtime victory on the road against Creighton. Kind of a statement win for a Wildcats team that was really looking for another big win. They had a couple, earlier in the season, but they also went on a 3-game losing streak and have suffered some upset losses. So that was a, big-time win for Villanova. But that's probably the reason why I don't think it's a letdown spot for the Wildcats, is because they don't really have the margin of error or the time for a letdown. I mean, this team has suffered upset losses to University of Pennsylvania. They lost to St. Joseph's. They lost to Drexel. Games where, in recent years, Villanova wouldn't come close to losing those types of games. I know they were against regional rivals, but still, I just think Villanova knows, it's been upset a few times this year. It can't take its foot off the pedal. It can't really play down to its opponent. And I do think that we see Villanova, the much better team in this matchup, win this game and cover the number in the end. DePaul has just not been good in Big East play, really, ever. I mean, they had one winning season so far since they've joined the conference, and that was back in, I think, 06-07. So DePaul has just been the weakest team in the conference for years now, and they're having their worst non-conference run in a while. I mean, usually DePaul has a pretty decent non-conference record. I mean, we saw last year, I think they were 6-6 going into Big East play, and then they fell off. But this year, they're 2-8. Their 2 wins were against Louisville, who we saw against Kentucky, really, struggling this year, and South Dakota, a team that's ranked 297th in KenPom. But other than that, DePaul has struggled, and, this is a home game, but I just think Villanova, the much better team in all facets of the game. Fundamentally, DePaul turns the ball over a ton. They're not a good rebounding team in general. Their offense, while it's shooting the ball pretty well from 3, it's still ranked 233rd in adjusted defensive efficiency. I just think Villanova wins this game in a blowout fashion, and they take care of business in their second conference game of the season. This is a really important conference game. Villanova can't afford to get upset. So give me Villanova. I'll lay the points. Next up, the final game we're to talk about for Saturday's card in college basketball. It's going to be Eastern Kentucky and Alabama. This game's also 4 p.m. Eastern, and this one's going to be on the SEC Network. Now, to me, this is a really good matchup for Alabama. Eastern Kentucky, I think, is better than its current record, and we'll have some spots with value on them later in conference play. But just the way that they play and the way the defense has struggled, Eastern Kentucky is the worst team in college basketball defending the three-point shot. They're giving up 44.3% to their opponents from the perimeter this season. While those numbers may regress a bit and Eastern Kentucky will improve, that's just still not a spot I want to be in against an Alabama team that we know this program takes a ton of three-point jumpers year after year. We saw it against Arizona while they lost that game. In the end, they shot 43-point shots in that ball game. We saw them shoot 30-plus against Purdue, 30-plus against Arkansas State. This team will probably shoot 30, maybe 40 three-point shots in this ballgame. They make them at a good rate. They're 56 in the country in three-point shooting. So with Eastern Kentucky really struggling to defend the 3 and not being a very good defensive rebounding team, which we know, like I said, the best shot other than a put-back layup or dunk off an offensive rebound is kicking it out for a wide-open 3. Usually the defense is scrambling, trying to get the rebound, and somebody's wide open on the perimeter. We should see Alabama do a lot of damage offensively in this game. I know they've been disappointing as of late, but they're battle-tested. They played a ton of tough teams. They played Purdue, Creighton, Arizona, Ohio State, Clemson. They played Oregon. So Eastern Kentucky, I think, is in a really tough spot here. Maybe it's not that Eastern Kentucky can't compete with some of the tougher teams and programs and cover a number like this against some other teams, but just the way that Alabama plays is just a nightmare matchup for me. So give me Alabama. I'll lay the big number. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in college hoops. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium, and there's a link in the description. Like I mentioned, this will be the last bank shot breakdown video until Wednesday night for Thursday's games. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you next time. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.